Definitely you want to stay connected to these resources. As stated earlier, their information and handouts are on our back table, the resource table. So definitely pick up all the information and stay connected with those resources that you find here today. At this time, we are going to proceed with our panel discussion. We have a great panel discussion for you today, a whole list of wonderful panelists. And our panel discussion will be moderated by Scott Benson. Scott Benson is an urban planner with a strong commitment to real estate development in southeastern Michigan. Scott's most recent experience is with the Midtown Detroit, Inc., where he manages small business development in Detroit's Midtown area by providing technical assistance, financial packaging, marketing support, business plan development, and facade grants. Scott is responsible for over $20 million in development, the creation of over 250 direct jobs, and 200,000 square feet of commercial and residential space on Detroit's east side. So at this time, I would like for Scott, as well as all of our panelists, to come to the front. Let's give them a hand.
Microphone check.
Testing. Just so you are. Just so you know, those index cards at this time, if you have any questions, we're going to wait until each of them speak. So make sure if you have any questions to write down your index cards. We'll collect them and read them up here and have our panel address those. Okay.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
As said, my name is Scott Benson. I am with Midtown Detroit Incorporated. I'm happy to be here today with this esteemed group of entrepreneurs and business developers. And I'd like to give a thanks to the CEED staff for hosting us here today, and to my Midtown businesses that I see out in the crowd and on the panel here this morning. As said, I'm the Small Business Development Manager for Midtown Detroit Incorporated. I'm also going to give myself a shameless political plug. I'm running for state office in the 1st District. So if you can vote for me, I want your vote, and if you can't, I want you to say nice things. So first, I'm going to introduce Thomasina Tedesco, known as Tammy Tedesco, the owner and CEO of Edibles Rex. I've had the opportunity to work with her in a couple of different hats, as far back as my time with Warren Connor Development Coalition, trying to do a deal on the east side. A catering business, Edibles Rex, a catering business. Since starting her business in 1992, Tammy has built a reputation for superior customer service, presentation, nutrition, and education for her customers. Within the community, Tammy has a social mission to incorporate healthier food selections in school lunch programs. She is also dedicated to mentoring and training women to be successful in the food service industry, employing a staff of 80% women and providing mothers with flexible employment opportunities. That deserves a round of applause in itself. She has catered to significant events and individuals, including Super Bowl 40, and former U.S. Presidents Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. Now, one of my Midtown business owners, we have Pat Harris from the Bottom Line Coffee House. Pat was born and raised on Detroit's west side. She attended Detroit Public Schools and is a graduate of Cass Technical High School. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree from Michigan State University and her Master's degree from Eastern Michigan University. Pat Harris has over 20 years of experience as a human resources administrator, and she has operated 2 home-based small businesses and also has experience as a retail sales consultant, and will soon be opening Bottom Line Coffee House in Midtown on 3rd Ave. The recently redeveloped 3rd Ave, which now is no longer one-way, but is two-way, and I believe will have curbside coffee delivery service for those who utilize her services. Next on our list, oh yeah, that deserves a round of applause too. Microphone check, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. Leah Schroeder is a business development representative for Michigan Business and Professional Association and Michigan Food and Beverage Association. Her focus is to assist member organizations with making their business better by helping them to utilize facilitated networking events, identifying possible synergy between other member organizations, and initiating contact by introducing these entities to one another, all drawing on her valuable experience and exposure in the support and development of small businesses. In her spare time, Leah lends her talents to various charitable organizations that support our youth and provides a foundation for entrepreneurship, which she finds extremely rewarding. Round of applause, please. All right. And then our final panelist is Kelly Pickett, the owner of KRM Enterprises, one of Seed's newest microloan clients. Congratulations on that. He has been an entrepreneur wearing many hats in the food industry for over 20 years. He currently is the executive chef at Rounds on the Square in Detroit, Michigan. Along with Rounds on the Square chef, Kelly also runs a successful catering business and is chef with Amtrak. Chef Kelly is an experienced chef and food service manager with excellent background in menu planning, food preparation, and dietary consultation. Please give a round of applause for our panelists this morning. I hope to have a spirited dialogue. And so first we'll start off. If each of our panelists can give a brief presentation on their experiences and their jobs. We can start with Tammy, please. Beware.
Good morning.
All right.
Is this on? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I started my business almost 20 years ago. I started my business almost 20 years ago as a small carry-out restaurant, and that was what I could afford at the time. I really enjoyed cooking, but my motivation for being in business myself, other than coming from a family that were all self-employed for many generations, I never wanted to be fired. So I just thought if I could create my own job, that was my motivation. So I bought a little ice cream shop that had gone out of business. I was 24 years old, and I had enough money to just buy the equipment, and I started out with myself and one other employee. And I tell you where my beginnings are from because it's important to keep in mind that your business may evolve several times in its lifetime. And mine's evolved about 3 times now. And it's because of the opportunities that came about as I was in business. So my little restaurant is in a poor location, so the number one thing I tell you is look at location. And as Pat was telling you from the Michigan SBTDC office, they have professionals to try and help you with that. The location was not successful because there was no parking. So the only way we could get to our customers was by a delivery service, which I wasn't going into the delivery business. I was specializing in food. So you really need to start with that business plan to decide what is it that you want, because otherwise you start taking everything that people throw at you, and that's not very efficient. It doesn't allow you to grow and do what your passion is and what you're really good at. So taking time to work with some of these experts that were up at the panel before me is really critical, because like I said, I'm going in business now almost 20 years, and it wasn't until about 7 years ago that I really got connected and found out that there was all these resources available. I wish I knew that at 24. I might be a completely different company today, but yet we do grow from all the mistakes and things that we learn. And so the road will definitely be bumpy in food service or any startup that you're in, and you have to know that there is a learning curve that's going to be involved, but with all the free resources out there, they will definitely shorten that. The last 2 years I've spent time at Dartmouth because there's a minority business program there for women and minorities. And I go there for a week at a time, and it's literally Sunday to Saturday, 8 in the morning until 8 at night, getting all the business training that we never got. We started our business from a passion of something that we were good at, but we didn't get an MBA before we went into our businesses. So my best advice to all of you is seek out your resources. Be very humble. hire people that know way more than you in the areas that you don't. My first expensive hire was a CFO, and in 11 years she's helped our company to grow threefold. We've been able to save money and buy a piece of property in the Eastern Market that we're hoping to develop into our own location so that we don't have to rent anymore. So that's the first example of hiring more help that knows more than you in the areas that you don't. And my second advice is when you are going to look for those loans, because we are looking with the SBA now, you do need good credit. You definitely have to pay your vendors on time. You have to pay everybody before you pay yourself. I did not take a paycheck until 7 years into my business. And I kept asking for just one more year in business. Let me get through one more year. I made very small goals, because if you get through the first year and you're ready to quit, you haven't even tried yet. It took almost 5 years before I could see a light and a lot of customers coming, people wanting our services. By 7 years, I was actually out of debt. I funded my business on credit cards. At 24 years old, I didn't have a credit history. I had a good credit because I had no history, basically, but I couldn't get anybody to fund me $50,000 worth of equipment. So I used credit cards, and it took 7 years to pay them off. And then after that, I moved into catering because there was more demand for it, and I got rid of the small little restaurant. And then from catering, we were asked to help in the school programs about 11 years ago. So now we focus primarily on corporate and social catering, and our other division is the school programs. We feed a lot of children in Detroit in the charter schools, and it is our goal to make these programs better than what is offered at the government level right now. But it takes funding, and it takes support, and it takes education of our children and our families that are helping in these schools. So I'm here later for questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.